E whaatalo whātu le mai mo mai le tunu ule nei tū la whiawhi e pe onu tō sila mai mo mai ai. O loo ma whaatasi nei ma se tasi fo i o malo ta aua o le tātou polo kalame o le lali le nea whiawhi. Le li ampasa le o le malo tele le United States of America, David Huebner, mo le malo Samoa ma le malo New Zealand. O le whaatasi mai le li ampasa ono o le wha moe moe lea. O le malo tele o le United States o le rātou tali malo i se whonu tanga lea mo le tupulanga. Leo le a wai sui mai Samoa nei, America Samoa. Ia ma le to tele o tunu o le Pasifika o le nei whanutanga. E whaia le America Samoa le vai aso asau. A pleasant good evening, Samoa. Welcome once again. You're watching another edition of your program, Le Lali. And for tonight, we have a very special guest, Mr. Ambassador from the United States, Samoa and New Zealand, David Huebner. Welcome to our program. It's an honor to have you here tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, Lali.
Okay. Well, for tonight, I understand that the United States government is hosting a rather unique youth forum meeting in neighboring American Samoa next week.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on the youth conference?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things we've focused on both at the embassy in Wellington and here in Apia is including young people more in the work we're doing. So we've done a series of youth conferences. The one we're doing next week in Pango is a Future Leaders of the Pacific Conference, where we're bringing delegates under age 25 from each of the 17 Pacific Island Forum nations. And what we're going to do for 4 days is put them through an agenda of serious issues, discussions with experts about development, climate change, democracy, civil society, and other issues that might be of interest here in the Pacific region.
And what has prompted the United States government to sort of address youth issues in the region, in the Pacific region?
Part of it comes from the very top. President Obama is very focused on future generations and on youth. Secretary Clinton's been very focused on including women and young people. So we're following a larger agenda that starts at the White House, which is it's important to engage with existing governments, but we also have to help train people who will be in future governments.
So on top of this youth conference, are there other areas in particular that the Obama administrations would be looking at, especially for the region?
Oh, absolutely. If you watched the inauguration, and I was there, I just came from Washington after spending a week there for the inauguration, you would have heard President Obama talk about climate change in his inaugural address. That's a big focus of ours. Another focus is maritime security. There are great riches within the ocean waters around the Pacific Island nations, and those nations need a little bit of help in preserving and converting those assets. So those are two of the big ones, in addition to youth. Mrs. Clinton also has been very focused on finding ways to increase the status of women and include more women in decision-making roles. So, for example, the 3 delegates we're taking with us to the conference in Pango from here, 2 of the 3 are young, very successful civil servants who are women.
Okay. You mentioned climate change, and there'll be 3 delegates from here going. Now, climate change, it brings up the idea of gas emissions for people like us. For most Samoans, they are not fully aware of the impact of gas emissions to the environment. It's what we've witnessed recently, the poor weather, the recent cyclone. Would that be an issue of particular interest that would be raised in Pango?
Oh, absolutely. President Obama and the whole administration is very focused on finding ways to address climate change, and there are two different pieces to that. One is trying to slow down and hopefully reverse the problem that's beginning to occur in the atmosphere. The other half is working on ways to buffer, insulate, remediate damage from the existing climate change manifestations. So we'll be talking about both pieces over in Pango, but it's also important we need to do more than talk. And one of the things I'm going to be doing tomorrow, my charge and I are going to fly to Savaii, assuming the weather doesn't get worse, because through our USAID, we've committed $500,000 US, which is well over $1 million tala. And what we're going to do with that is give $50,000 US to each of 5 villages in Savaii, and $50,000 to each of 5 villages here on Upolu. And the money will be used for projects that increase the ability of those villages to resist climate change impacts.
I see.
And we're very excited about that. If this project proves successful, then our hope is to move it out to additional villages beyond the initial 10 that we're focused on.
Okay, talking about grants and assistance again, I also understand today you handed over another 100,000 tala grant to a different project.
Oh, yeah, it was a good morning. There is a special program in the State Department called the Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation. And over the last number of years, we've actually funded 600 projects in more than 100 different countries focused on preserving those societies' cultural traits and cultural histories. What we've done here is we were able to arrange a $50,000 U.S. grant, which is well over 101,000 tala, with a focus on Senate weaving, the coconut husk weaving, the afi or afa?
Afa.
Afa.
It's the afa.
And what we're going to do with the 100-some thousand tala is give part of the money, which we've already done, to an art center to do a documentary film about afa and about the people who still are skilled in the craft so that their technique is preserved on film. Other parts of the grant will go to the ministry so that the cultural officials can spend it in ways that help preserve the afa craft in the villages where it's still practiced.
I see. Now going back to Pango again, for next week, what would you hope to see accomplished from this conference?
Well, the big thing that I'm always focused on with youth is getting them confident enough to voice their ideas. So the most specific thing that I would like to get out of it is take these 30 or so young people from Pacific Islands, make them confident enough in talking with experts and government officials so that when they go home, they're able to talk about their ideas with their own leaders, which is why we have His Highness, the Head of State, coming to Pango. He's going to give the keynote address to open the conference, and we've got other officials, including the Premier of Niue. So the real goal is to take these young people and build their confidence, get them focused on participating by interacting with experts and existing leaders so they can come home and be more helpful and more valuable here.
So can Samoa look to hosting a similar conference in the future?
Well, my secret plan, we've done a series of similar conferences elsewhere down in New Zealand focused on social media and students. My goal is, if this is a success, to do it every year and to rotate between Pango and Apia. So then next year's would be here in Apia, then the next year back in Pango, then back here in Samoa.
Okay. Due to our time restrictions, thank you again for joining us, Mr. Ambassador, and good luck for next week's conference. Again, thank you for joining us.
Whawhatai. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Na umai mo mai la tunu o le whai ungai na se wha tal noanga ma le Ambassador malo. O le United States of America, David Huebner, ea mo le sila fia la tunu o le nei whanutanga i le vai aso asau. E to tolu ni sui mai Samoa nei ua filfilia o le afoi. O le a avea e le afionga le ama malu o le malo. E tatala aloa ia le nei whanutanga ai mo le afia finei o le atu e taliu atu. Ia le tātou porokalame i whaalinga masani. A le tātou porokalame o le lali mo le nei afiafi. Thank you.
So I hope you